to IFA. I fix everything.
Today's project is a John Deere zero-turn lawnmower whose blades like to disengage when you're trying to get some work done. With the key turned off, check the blades to see if they will rotate. Then check the belt and make sure it's still intact and working. The mechanical system's checked good. Now it's time to check the electrical controls. The blades are engaged electrically with a blade disengage switch. It was worn and recently replaced, so it was no longer part of the equation. When I started the motor, I noticed a diagnostic code was flashing. So I checked the code against the placard on the right-hand side and found the battery voltage was low. I charged the battery and proceeded to mow the lawn. After about 3 hours, the problem came back, so I took the battery out and had it tested and replaced. The new battery had fixed the problem, but it only lasted for a couple of weeks and the problem came back. So I knew it was time to do some further troubleshooting. I began the troubleshooting process with the battery voltage. It was only reading 9 volts, so I needed to charge the battery before I could go any further. With the mower running, the voltmeter was reading 12.9 volts. The next step is to check the amperage to ensure the mower can recharge the battery. My clamp-on amp meter was reading 1.4 amps, not nearly enough to charge the battery. A small engine uses the flywheel as the rotor, a field winding for a stator, and an external voltage regulator to produce the electrical power to recharge the battery. The 3 terminals on the voltage regulator make a great place to start testing the voltage generation. With the engine running, probe the 2 outside terminals of the voltage regulator with a voltmeter set to AC. You should read approximately 43 volts alternating current. With a voltage reading of 42.9 volts, the internal components are working properly. It appears the voltage regulator is the cause of the problem. It's non-serviceable, but it can be cleaned. Let's remove the 2 bolts in the electrical connector. I thoroughly cleaned the corrosion off of each of the terminals and the metal body, especially at the mounting bolt locations, to ensure a proper ground. To clean the terminals on the electrical plug, I sprayed it with foaming battery cleaner, then I plugged the regulator in and unplugged it several times to scrape away any corrosion and make a good contact. Before reinstalling the regulator, I removed and cleaned the ground strap on both sides. The voltage regulator mount bolts also support 2 fuel line hose clamps. Now for the moment of truth. With the voltage regulator reinstalled, it's time to test the amperage. My initial reading was 8.4 amps, but decreased rapidly as the battery began to take a charge. This was an easy job, and it saved about $40. However, the parts were unavailable from John Deere. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. If you did, please like and share. Subscribers are always welcome.